Now, I've heard of guys using it on their motor mounts, and you can probably fill about 2 or 3 entire motor mounts with a can of Windo-Weld. Or you could fix all cracks in your mounts with Windo-Weld. But what I'm going to do is fill my radiator support, and then later I'm going to drill out the hole for the radiator support. It's a peg that goes in here from the other side up. And I'm going to do that with both my stock mount and the 5th gen mount. My 5th gen didn't come with a rubber piece. My radiator is knocking back and forth while I'm driving, so I want to try and get rid of that. And I'm going to do that by filling this. So what I'm going to do is take some masking tape, tape off the bottom. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to seal, because this stuff is pretty thick. It's not going to ooze out. Thick enough to fill this hole a little around the top there. And then, like I said, I'm going to take a drill bit and then drill out the center for my radiator support. At least that's the theory anyway. We'll see how it goes. I don't know how well this stuff is going to settle. So I'll just fill it up like that and let that cure. I have no idea how long that's going to take to cure. And then I'll start filling in this one. That goes down much better. So I'm going to try something like that. Yeah, I know it looks like a big gooey donut. Well, it's not the most appetizing thing to look at in the world, but hopefully that cures and will actually work for my purposes. Well, this stuff took about 24 hours to cure. Feels like rubber. It's fully cured. Now I just have to drill out a center portion, take my X-Acto and shave this down so it's a little bit nicer looking, because that obviously looks like crap. I think we'll be good to go there. Windo-Weld. Like it. Alright, I went ahead and took my razor, cut it flush so that it looks nice, but as you can see, it's got a gooey core. It's got a creamy filled center. I'm going to say this is about half dry, so I'm going to let that sit for another 24 hours. This is probably going to take, for this amount, at least a couple days to fully cure. Not quite there yet. But I think that looks better. It looks a little bit more stock now that it's all shaved down level. That's just from where I was filling it in, and it didn't fill flush because I was using too small of a nozzle. But live and learn. And this one, I'm not even going to bother with, because I know the core of that thing is not dry yet. So I'm going to leave that to sit for a couple days. This Windo-Weld has been curing for a little bit over 24 hours. I'll just say 36 hours. Took my razor blade and cut into it. Now, after about 12 hours, I took my razor blade and I cut into this one, and this center part was still soft, almost like RTV. And I was a little bit worried that this was going to react like RTV. And basically what RTV is, it only hardens when it comes in contact with oxygen, which is why when I cut this open and I still found this gooey center, that made me think it was kind of like RTV. And this one is much thicker. And this one I allowed to cure for about 36 hours, and then I sliced into it. And as you can see, it's all rubber in there, so it's not like RTV. Windo-Weld is rubber. It goes on kind of like tar, but then it does cure to rubber. And I would say that this is a fair durometer of rubber, comparable to engine mounts. So I can see why a lot of guys have been using this for engine mounts. Makes sense. Here's the radiator support piece that mount is supposed to stick through. And this is the largest drill bit that I have. And it's not quite big enough. It'll go into the hole, but I'm going to have to use this to ream out the rubber just a little bit, and I'm kind of concerned about doing that. Well, by the time I get my drill bit through the rubber, I guess I could use an X-Acto knife to ream it out the rest of the way. So that's the plan anyway, and we'll see how it works. I'll show you my other mount, and the problem that these mounts have after a while. As you can see, it's kind of enlarged here. So the radiator will actually tilt up and back in there. And it's not supposed to be that loose. I mean, it can be somewhat loose,
and it will do this over time, obviously, but when you have way too much play, it's obviously going to rattle in there, and I don't like that because it's completely missing rubber on the other side. So I'm going to see if I can do something about that. I'm not really too worried with this side. This side is still fairly good. Well, that's not going to work because the drill bit won't even fit in my drill. Maybe I'll just start with something really small, something I know that'll chuck in here good. Well, that didn't do shit. This is why you need a vise. I don't have a vise. Oh God. Yeah, I need to wear gloves. Wow, that just kind of does nothing, huh? Jeez. Well, let's see if I can ream it out a little bit without like spinning my hand around and breaking my wrist. Not too bad. Getting there. Wish I could fit a bigger bit in there. I really don't know what else. I don't have a manual reamer, and I don't have a step drill. I mean, other than going with a bore, let me just measure this. My radiator support is slightly bigger than 1/2 inch. The only thing I have bigger than that is a 5/8. 5/8 might be it. 5/8 seems to be the perfect size. Obviously, the problem with using a wood boring bit on something like this and holding it with my hand is obviously dangerous. But at least I have the pilot hole, so I got that going for me. So I'm gonna give it a shot. Oh yeah, kind of nervous. Just imagine the damage that sucker could do to your hand. Yeah, and it's not even fucking straight. Cheap ass Harbor Freight shit. The wobble on that fucker. God, that's not even close. I might actually hurt myself if I try and use this. In a cheap set of Harbor Freight, I got this entire thing, you know, those plus all of that for $30 from Harbor Freight. You get what you pay for, right guys? But fuck it. That is good. It's not even a circle. Looks more like a rotary. God, that is so bad. Yeah, that's a little bit better. All right, I think we're getting there. Yeah, that's not centered. All right, let's try something like that. That actually seemed to work somewhat. It's almost there. I can just push this down around the sides like so. Get these two to line up with the hole there. Yeah, see, something like that. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, doesn't look all that great, but you know what? That radiator, well, once that's bolted down, that radiator is going nowhere. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a DIY, barely, fix of your radiator supports using Windo-Weld. Cool.